Hey guys, welcome to Toy Shop. Today we're freshening up a head on a Yamaha Moto 4200. So we got our head here. If you want to see how I got to this point, I'll have the video posted at the end of the video for taking the head apart. But we've got the head here. What I want to do is I want to put new valve seals in it, and I want to relap the valves just because I'm doing a top end, and the top end gasket kit came with valve seals, so we might as well dig into it. So first thing I'm going to do is we got to take this like half moon looking cover off with these two bolts here, and it looks like they're bent up on the sides here to help hold the bolts from backing out. So we're gonna tap those flat so we can get a socket on here and get these bolts off. Now, next thing I want to do now that plate's off is there's these two pins here. And those two pins are the pivot points for the rocker arms on each side. And they're threaded by, I think is a 6 by 1.0 thread. I've got a bolt here. I'm going to see if I can get it to pull up. All right, that was in there pretty good. Looks like there's an O-ring on there to seal it. I'm going to keep these separate. So I'm going to have the exhaust side here and intake side here. Oh, man. This one does have a little bit of a flathead kind of ground into it, so I'm going to grab a screwdriver and see if we can't get it to spin a little bit. Alright, it's spinning. Here. Alright, so it's easier to kind of break it free with a screwdriver. Another thing to notice is this notch here. I didn't pay attention, but I'm assuming it has to line up with that. So that's probably what the flathead is for. So when you get this slid in there, you can put a screwdriver in here and get that notch lined up, which it looks like it needs to be pretty much flat across. All right, now there's threads right here in the center of the cam. All right, so it looks like I might have to get the slide hammer out in order to get this tapped out, because it looks like this collar is what's holding it in. I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but the cam bolt, I just stuck the cam bolt back in it. Now I'm going to get the slide hammer and hold on to the end of that bolt and just start tapping it out. All right. It looks like this cam only comes out one way. Right there's the collar. So now we got the cam out of there. Yeah, the lifters out of there, or the rocker arms. Now our cam's out, so let's start working on the valves. I'll have a link for the slide hammer and this next tool I'm going to show you down below. They're going to be affiliate links, so if you guys buy from that link, it'll help me. Oh, I'm kind of glad I tore this apart. I don't know if you can see that or not right there, but that is a flat spot on the cam, and that is not good. So this cam is just about wore out. It actually is wore out. I actually don't want to go any farther with this until I go to find a new one. If you kind of look, it looks like it's kind of highest here, and it kind of tapers off, where that one's kind of a little more rounded. Even that's kind of starting to show a little wear on it. Kind of a lip on it there. All right, well, I wonder if we can find a cam for this. But regardless, we are going to tear the valves apart. Might as well see if those are any good. All right, this is the tool we're going to end up using for the valves. Basically, the way this works is you attach that on there. These windows here give you room to get the keepers in and out. And this side here goes against the face of the valve. So I think this will work. All right, so if you look at this tool, it's got a hold on the valve cap there, and it's pushing right on the center there. I'm going to kind of screw this in, and then I can just reach in here, pop the keepers out. Might have to kind of push it one way. All right, the keepers are out. I'm going to slowly loosen this up. Pull our springs out, and we're going to push our valve down and out. Alright, so all that was on the exhaust side. So I'm going to stick all this with the exhaust parts. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Now, we can finally see our valve seals. Not really worried about crushing them. All right, now this head is pretty much completely stripped. All right, I got this cleaned up. I didn't realize it at first, but there's a little cup down on the bottom of where the valve springs go. One of them fell out. One of them fell out while I was cleaning it. The other one didn't come out, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But there is that part in there. Make sure you have it or you know about it so you don't lose it. This is cleaned up. I got the valves kind of shined up on the wire brush with on the bench grinder. So I'm not too worried about it. I kind of got after it a little bit, got all the carbon off of both the intake and the exhaust valve. This intake valve's got kind of a little bit of like a corrosion ridge starting on it, but we're gonna lap these. I'll show you guys how to do that. So hopefully that's not an issue. But I'm gonna go back to the cam for a second because this is wore out. I wanna try to find another one. What I like to do is get on Partzilla's website. This is our homepage, Partzilla, and then this is a Yamaha, so I'm going to shop OEM parts by brand. So Yamaha, then ATV, it's a 1985, so I'm going to click that. Now this is a Moto 4 YFM 200N. I'm going to go to camshaft and chain. Alright, now right there's the cam, and it's got a little number 1. I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, but it looks like they're still available for 85 bucks. So I could buy a brand new OEM one from Yamaha for 85 bucks. But I want to check eBay and see first. The easiest way to do it is we want to copy this part number here. So on a cell phone here, in the description it says Yamaha with the part number and then camshaft. So I'm going to select all of this right here. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go into my eBay. And I'm going to paste that in there, that part number, Yamaha camshaft, and then search for that. And then that'll show me, like, these all should be exact fit camshafts and parts and stuff, all based off that number. So, I mean, looking right now, the top 3 are like less than 40 bucks, but they're all from China, and I don't feel like waiting that long. I'm not opposed to using a Chinese one, but I don't really want to wait months for a cam to come in, so I just filter by in the US. And for a used one here, there's a guy asking 90 bucks. There's another one there for 90 bucks. I mean, I can buy a brand new one for 85 and it's not going to be pre-owned. So I think that's what I'm going to do is order a brand new cam for this. It's 85 bucks. I've already got the money in a top end for this, and I think this little quad's worth it. I'm going to end up ordering this camshaft on Partzilla. I'm not affiliated with Partzilla at all. I just really like their website. We got everything out and cleaned. I've got this parts washed about as best I can. What we're going to do now is we are going to lap the valves. I think I picked this up at Napa, just valve grinding compound. What you want to do when everything's good and clean, you want to kind of set it so that it won't fall over. Then we're going to work on the exhaust side first. For no particular reason, I'm going to stick just a very little bit on my finger, just a little blob on my finger. Then we're going to take it and we're going to put it on this tapered surface right here, just very lightly. It'll all kind of spread as we go ahead and do this, but it's not going to be useful anywhere else other than on this taper. So try to keep it all on that taper. It feels gritty because that's what's going to literally grind these to a mating taper. So I've got these suction cup looking guys. I think I bought this kit at AutoZone or something. But basically what you're going to do is find the biggest cup that doesn't spill over. You're going to kind of suction cup it. We're just going to spin it around a whole bunch. Kind of some back and forth little jiggies. Kind of spin it all the way one direction a whole bunch of times. Back the other way a whole bunch of times. Just back and forth. If you just keep spinning it'll eventually push all the compound out of the two mating surfaces. So if you kind of pick up on it, It'll kind of introduce some more grinding compound to those surfaces. I'm not really pushing in a whole lot while I do this. Kind of just letting gravity do its thing, maybe a touch of down pressure. But it's not like I'm trying to push in on it while I'm doing it. I just want to let it cut its groove, cut its own path. And clean off the suction cup once in a while. You can kind of start to see a little bit of a silver ring start to form. That's what we want. I got this cleaned up. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to do this one more time and then we're going to call it good. Alright, so like I said, that silver line all the way around is what we're looking for. There's also a silver line around this valve. That's where the two surfaces are going to actually mate and seal off. I'm happy with that. That silver looks nice and even all the way around as I rotate it. So that is what we want. Now we are going to do the same exact thing for the intake valve. Alright, so I just lapped the intake too. The intake doesn't look too bad on the head. I've got a nice kind of gray band all the way around. But the intake valve looks like garbage. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. But it's not even all the way around. It almost looks like there's flakes in it. And there's ridges everywhere. So like if you were to like drag your finger this way, there's like a burr stuck out there. And same with the top out. So like this way here, there's a burr. So this intake valve is shot. So with a junk intake valve and a junk cam, I'm just gonna pause on this for a second. I got a new one of each of those coming. Once they come in, we are going to finish this bad mamma jamma up. Alright guys, new parts came in. I got a new intake valve. I ended up buying new rocker arms because the old rocker arm, the side that cam had eaten up, just looks super bad. So, and these weren't that expensive. I'm pretty sure I got them on eBay. Brand new. So it's going to have new rocker arms. It's going to have a new intake valve. I ordered a new cam chain because I'm going to do that, but that has not come in yet. So we're going to completely assemble the top end of this motor, and then when that cam chain comes in, I'll do another video on just how to replace cam chain on this because that works out best. And I just want to get the top end of this motor put together. So we have a new intake valve. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to lap this new intake valve in just to make sure that it's going to seat well in its new home. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did when we tried to get these lapped in. So I'm just going to do that quick off camera. All right, so now we've got a nice gray band around there, and we still have a nice gray band in here. So that's pretty much it, I think. I think right now we're going to be ready to put this back together. I did get the new cam too. I forgot about that. But brand new OEM cam, which is like 85 bucks, which is so much better than trying to find a used one for the same money. So we do have a new cam to put in this. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to put these valve seals on, and they just go on that little stem right there. I'm going to kind of take a fingertip of oil and just kind of put in it a little bit just to help make sure it ain't dry first time we fire it up. Plus it'll kind of help go on. I'm just going to set it on top of it, stick my thumb on it. Usually they'll make a pretty distinct click once they seat. So I guess they don't always click. Don't try beating these on or anything. They're just a seal. Just push them on as far as they can go and then call it good enough. I don't like that they didn't actually snap, but I can't get it to go on any farther, and I can't imagine it would be that difficult. So now I slide our valve up in. Put our springs and our cap on. I'm going to use the same tool that we used to take it apart, and we are going to compress this spring so we can get the keepers back in it. Now this has this great big window in here so that we can get the keepers in around the valve stem. And I'm going to kind of prop this up so that gravity can kind of kind of help us out a little bit. I'm going to take my little cap full of oil, kind of put a little bit of oil on the inside just to help hold it. Kind of drop it in there and just use a little screwdriver to kind of get it to drop down in the hole. Might have to kind of push the tool around a little bit to get it to open up where that keeper wants to go. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Make sure your keepers are touching. We want the keepers to be wrapped around the valve stem, not drop down into the cap. And now that that's like that, I'm going to very carefully try not to knock them out and try to loosen the spring pressure to try to capture those keepers. We got one valve done. Now let's do it on this other side. So now we got both of those put in. Our valves are now put in and assembled. Now if I remember right, this was easier to get the rocker arms out after the cam was out. So if I put the rocker arms in first, that should be the easiest, I think. Okay, so it looks like it's easier to just put the rocker arm in sideways. So stick the rocker arm in this way to get it in there kind of where the cam is. And then stick your fingers in there, get it the right way around, and then pull it back into position. Alright. Alright, so this is the pin that had the flathead on it, because we need to worry about the orientation on this knock right here. So it looks like that knock and that flat are 90 degrees apart. So I want this flat to go this way, side to side, and I want the knock to be on this side. So I think I want it to go in there just like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this. Kind of push in. Okay. Alright, so that's all the way in. Now I'm going to look through that hole right here and make sure that I can still get a bolt through that. So I don't see that in there, so I think we're going to leave that there. So we get that one in. Now let's take our other new rocker arm, stick that in sideways, and then rotate that. Now this looks pretty symmetrical all the way around, so I don't see any orientation on this. So we're just going to oil this up, make sure we get that O-ring pretty good. I'm going to drop that down in there. That sounded like a good solid seat. See our rocker arms down in there. I'm going to get them up out of the way. We're going to take our new cam, and we are going to put a little bit of oil on this. I might pour a little bit of oil down that hole right there and down there too, maybe into here, just to kind of help get everything pre-lubricated. Alright, now you see these like kind of oblong shapes? I'm assuming, because that's the only way this cam's going to go in here. Alright, now that that's done, that goes over that a lot easier than I thought it was gonna. Alright, I'm gonna put some oil in here. Now there's a notch cut out right here, and I'm not 100% sure how that needs to go back in there. I do know this went in here somewhere, and this bracket looks like it's got a tab right here. I don't know how, yeah, you can see it pretty good right there. So there, that tab, I'm assuming that needs to go in that groove there. So it looks like I need to go somewhere in there for that bolt hole to line up, that to line up. So right there's got to be that knock, that little notch cut out. So I'm just going to kind of push that in, get it started. And I'm gonna just ever so slightly. All right, well that's in. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick this in. Then I'm gonna drop this in. Take my little bolts, get those started. I'm not really worried about Loctite on these because this has the plate underneath it that you're supposed to bend up to help lock them so they can't back out. And channel locks work really good for bending these up. You don't need to have this baby pair. I just thought it would help me get in here. Plus I bought these little pliers because I thought they were cute and I've never used them. So this is a good reason to use one. All right, so we got the tabs folded up flat up against the hex of the bolt there. So those shouldn't come out. All right, the only other thing here really is I see a hole there and I see a notch there. But there's no way to keep this sprocket on that cam. Okay, so there's a little pin right there. So the new cam did not come with a new little pin. I get to use my little pliers again. I want to feel in there, just make sure there's no spring or anything. Nope. Okay. There we go. Alright, that makes sense. Don't forget that little pin out of your old cam. Now this sprocket has a timing mark right here. So that has to go on the outside so that we can get this timed. I guess it's probably going to be easiest now to set the valve flash while it's on the bench. The only thing I want to do is make sure that the timing mark on the sprocket lines up with the timing mark on the casting. Really, as long as it's anywhere between here and here, probably be all right. I'm just going to try to keep it at the top. So it looks like maybe there's a 10 millimeter and then an itty bitty little guy. Usually an intake valve doesn't have much on it. An exhaust valve usually has a little more, so I'm going to get them roughed in only because they're backed way off because they're new. Alright, so I don't know, I just googled this quick. It looks like 2 to 4 thou on the intake and 4 to 6 on the exhaust. So we're going to pull out a 3 thou and set the intake, pull everything 2 to 4 out. So while I'm doing this, especially on the bench, I'm looking at the square of the pin, like the part that makes contact, and kind of making a mental note of that, and kind of just using the position of that square to help me know kind of how much I've turned it. All right, so now 4 won't go, 3 won't go, 2.5 does. I'm gonna see if I can snug it up right there without it moving. Three goes, 4 doesn't. I'm not too worried about that. The intake did beat itself into the head more, so if anything, this is going to get tighter as it wears in. So a little towards the high limit, I'm not super worried about. The 3 goes pretty nice, the 4 does not go at all. So, alright, well that's good and tight. Alright, so now that that's done, we're going to go to the exhaust and kind of try to do the same thing. Let's see if a 6 goes where I got it. Yep, okay, going a little further. 6 doesn't go, 5 does. So I'm just going to kind of keep my eye on this square, maybe tighten it just a little bit. Alright, let's start at the bottom. Does a 4 go? 4's a little tight. 5 doesn't go. Alright, so it looks like my square is kind of like this, so I might try to back it off into here and then try to snug it back up again. They make a special tool for this, but I have my little pliers. We don't need no special tool if we got little pliers. 4 goes pretty easy, 5 goes, 6 doesn't go. Sweet. Alright, so we have the valves adjusted on this. Well, I think we are ready to put this back on the motor. While I'm in here, I want to change the exhaust, at least pop the exhaust gasket out until I put the exhaust on.